Hey guys, Roman and Reaper here. So I am just outside the cinema now, ready for another little trip out. So I'm about to head in and see the Equalizer 3. I'm quite looking forward to this. I've watched the first two Equalizer films quite recently, and yeah, they're enjoyable enough little action films. So yeah, I'm expecting a bit more of the same for this, especially since this is the last one I believe, and as Denzel Washington and Antoine Fuqua teaming up once again. So yeah, I think this we're in reliable hands. The action in these films is certainly fun and violent. So yeah, should be in for a good time. So gonna head in, get my snacks, get my seat, go see the Equalizer 3. Got 9 seconds. So yeah, I've got my popcorn here and a red and blue frozen Fanta ready to watch Equalizer 3. Got 5 seconds to go and get seated. So yeah, just back from seeing the Equalizer 3. As you can tell from the awful stopwatch jokes that I lettered there at the opening of the video, I apologise for that by the way, but I was looking forward to seeing this because quite recently I did watch the first two in prep for seeing this one, and yeah, they are mostly fun, violent action movies with surprisingly compelling character drama beneath that. Okay, I'm mainly referring to the first one in that regard. The second has that, but it's way more unfocused and flawed and kind of underwhelming, but still better than people give it credit for. I do have plenty that I enjoy in that one. But I was looking forward to this because the trailers look fun and it's another Equalizer film directed by Antoine Fuqua and starring Denzel Washington. So we're in pretty reliable company once again. But does this one deliver a satisfying conclusion to the Robert McCall saga? Let's find out. So, in the film, Robert McCall is now living in a small coastal town in southern Italy where he believes he can finally find peace for his violent actions in the past. And as he begins to bond with the locals of this small town, he discovers that the town is in fact under the control of a brutal crime family known as the Camorra. And so Robert decides to take it upon himself to free the people of the town the only way that he knows how, by equalizing. So look, it's another Equalizer film. You pretty much know what to expect. You come for the violent scenes of Denzel Washington beating up mobsters, but you stay for the surprisingly compelling character drama that goes on beneath that. And I gotta say, that rings true here. In fact, this might just be the best of the trilogy. It feels like a very satisfying endpoint for the Robert McCall character, rather specifically this portrayal. Like, for one, this has probably the best pacing of the three. Like, the first two are 2 hours plus, and this one runs in at 10 minutes shy of 2 hours, and yeah, it works really well in its favor. This is pretty much the sweet spot that action movies like this should aim for. It moves at a very healthy pace. It doesn't feel like it's rushing or anything, but moves at a healthy pace that you're engaged and you can easily keep up with it, but never feels like it's dragging itself out or going on too long. Like, it's perfect, and you can fit in just enough action to keep it exciting and fun. Yeah, the pacing's not perfect here. I'll get to that later, but for the most part, it works, and part of that is down to the fact that once again the action is very satisfying. This is very consistently the highlight of these films. They're solidly directed with plenty of crunchy blows and punchy choreography, as well as just plenty of delightfully wince-worthy moments. It's very satisfyingly violent, And in fact, ironically, in the latter half of the film, it almost has a slasher movie edge to it. It's very tense and it's delightful. And yet it's also like a bit more sparse than you'd expect, but that's pretty in keeping with these films because it's much more about the character drama that around the action than the action itself. And at the heart of it, you've got Denzel Washington. Yeah, he's fantastic. Once again, he's reliably magnetic. He's so effortlessly cool and charismatic, and he's an incredibly magnetic screen presence, and he's still got it in the action as well. Like, despite how old he is, he still has it and can deliver a convincing action scene. He's great, and he perfectly sells the soulful psychological study of Robert McCall at the heart of this film, wherein the film is asks us the question of no matter how violent you have been in your past, no matter what you've done, can you still find peace? And there's a really solid recurring through line in the film of we end up where we are supposed to be, and it's this that really fuels McCall's arc in this one, and it's so compelling and does deliver a satisfying closure to his character. And we also have some really delightful scenes of him bonding with the locals. It'll just put a smile to your face because Antoine Fuqua directs all these scenes. Really communicating a small community that feels alive and brimming with personality. Yeah, it's great. Although one thing I want to know is that did he ever finish the 100 books to read before he died? Because he was on the last one in the second film. Did he finish it off screen? Like, I want closure, damn it. And it's not just the Denzel stuff and the action that works so well here. It's also very well directed by Antoine Fuqua. He's not some like top drawer director with an incredibly distinctive visual voice that shines through in all his films, but he's a solid sort of journeyman filmmaker who does what he needs to and does it very well. And that again rings true here. And in fact, ironically, there are some really solid little visual flourishes he brings to it. Like there's a really cool hyper stylized montage of past footage of McCall, and there's one shot towards the end of the film, like a bird's eye view. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see it. It's very well done. And in fact, ironically, the cinematography might be the best of the trilogy here, as they really take advantage of the naturally gorgeous Italian landscapes that Robert McCall is residing in, and it's an it's a film that is consistently great to look at. So yeah, from a visuals and directing standpoint, yeah, this is probably the best one. Now, it's unfortunately not all perfect. Like, don't get me wrong, Denzel Washington versus the Mafia is an incredibly compelling idea for a film, and yeah, it delivers that in chunks. It's very satisfying. But yet, the actual mobsters that he's opposing feel incredibly generic. These are sort of like Mafia man stereotypes that basically just sort of serve to get brutally killed by McCall. They are very, very disposable, which is a shame because, the idea is there, and in fact, if you really flesh them out, this could be a delightfully satisfying film. The problem is, and when I said earlier that the pacing's not perfect, this is what I mean. There's a subplot in the film about this like CIA investigation of a drug smuggling operation, which is like fine. It's not out of place or anything. It does feel relevant to the overarching plot at hand. The problem is it's just not very interesting, and yeah, it's not as compelling as the scenes of McCall going up against the mafia, or even the scenes of him bonding with the locals and this small town. It's yeah, it doesn't really like lead to anything like particularly interesting, and you could easily trim it out, and the plot would play out basically the same. In fact, the only reason I can think of off the top of my head they've included it is for the Man on Fire reunion of Denzel and Dakota Fanning. It's so pointless. It adds nothing and just sort of serves to drag the pacing down. Really, it's a shame, like, because they're a pretty solid film here, but really, if you cut that and instead give the extra screen time to like the mobsters and McCall's fight against them, and maybe even just have the scenes of him bonding with the locals as your primary subplot, yeah, this would probably work a whole ton better, and you really get the most out of the runtime and get a real tight pace. But yeah, as it stands, it's not perfect, but it works mostly. And yeah, that's overall how I feel about Equalizer 3. I very much enjoyed it. It's obviously not perfect, but it's a very enjoyable action film that has the satisfying moments of violence and the compelling character drama beneath that, and does end Robert McCall's character arc on a satisfying note. So yeah, it's a pretty good fun watch, and on a miserable Sunday afternoon, a bit of violence, a bit of Denzel Washington violently beating up mobsters. There are worse ways to spend your time. And overall, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, have you seen the film? What do you think of it? Uh, what's your favourite of the trilogy? And yeah, would you... There's the possibility of a prequel of a younger Robert McCall. Would you be interested in seeing that? Let me know that down in the comments. Don't forget the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget the subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.